You are Locked On Falcons Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Locked On Falcons, Locked On Sports Atlanta postcast with the Falcons falling to the Jacksonville Jaguars 23-7 in Week 4 in London. We were hoping for a bounce back, rebound game from the Falcons this week, Jarvis. We did not get this. Let's talk about the terribleness of Desmond Ridder in the first half. He did some nice things in the second half. We might get 30 seconds of mention later in the show when we talk about the positives, but we got to start off talking about a young quarterback looking like he didn't belong in the league. Bad decision-making, that had that pick six, staring down reads, then comes back, throws another interception on his next pass, stares down that one, had a couple, dropped interception on the next drive on an underthrown ball to Mac Hollins. Then at the end of the game had the sack strip as well. So another, Jarvis, we talk every week. We talk about, clean quarterback play. This was the dirtiest, downright grimiest quarterback play we've seen so far this season, and not what you wanted to see from Desmond Ridder coming off a tough loss of the Detroit Lions.
And and the bad thing about it is when you think about the way Desmond Ridder played, like we're talking about simple stuff. We're talking about staring down receivers. Like that's college quarterback stuff, like freshman year, redshirt freshman year stuff. Hey, make sure you don't stare down your wide receiver. You're gonna bring the defense to where you're throwing the football, and that's what we saw in the first half. It was just absolutely, it was so obvious. And it's ironic that because Arthur Smith always talk about how he doesn't want to be obvious on offense, because the way, even when they even act like they're about to hand the ball off to Bijan Robinson, you just saw all the linebackers, 4-year look and Kuma, whatever his doggone name is, they just flying up. And I'm just like, dude, like you have to counter that. You have to counter that so those guys won't be so aggressive when you're throwing in the football. Because I even tweeted out during the game, I was like, hey, man, get the ball to Algier a little bit and kind of get the offense warmed up. Get those guys in the game at the same time so you can kind of, work that thing, work it like that, and get that defense to thinking, because when you're turning around and handing the football off to Bijan Robinson when he's in the game, like that's pretty simplistic, man. That is something that defenses are going to get used to. And once you continue to put that stuff like that on film, man, like you're going to get to the point where you're going to be putting yourself in situations where you're going to have to throw the football, and we've seen what that looks like, and it is just like that doggone whiteboard in your background. It's not good. It's not good. For those of you who are listening to this on the audio side, he has a poop emoji on his whiteboard. So, yeah, that's how Aaron is feeling, and that's how I'm feeling as well. But, yeah, man, the play on Desmond Ridder in back-to-back weeks, it just seems like it just hasn't been good. It hasn't been good, and I'm at a point now where it's kind of like, all right, if this is a guy you're rolling with, it has to be some things done to be able to counter what we saw today. And I really feel like that not being done, and you got to have help. And that offensive line, they just haven't helped him out. Like this has been get right games for the opposing defense for 2 consecutive weeks. The Detroit Lions weren't rushing the passer, even though they had Aiden Hutchinson out there raising all type of sand. 7 sacks. Today, you give it up 2. And then you end the game with just an exclamation point with Josh Allen. Josh Allen has been a guy that obviously the expectations were super high for him coming into the NFL, but the Jaguars are kind of wavering on whether or not they're going to pay him. Shoot. He earned his money today.
3 sacks.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like he got home, and Jake was struggling against this man. So I think that, yeah, with all of these factors, and then to compound it all, you got your quarterback out here making some not even rookie mistakes. Like you're talking about some quarterback 101 first day, reporting to training camp and college type stuff, like staring down receivers. That's what we're talking about. 8 games into the NFL. Nah, man, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah, Jarvis. Look, Ridder's not the only thing that stinks about this offense, right? You talk about the offensive line. There's basically,
yes.
if the ball wasn't going to Bijan today or Jonnu Smith today, they weren't doing nothing. Drake London had a couple of nice catches, but other than that, they weren't really doing nothing. But it was like, okay, like we think the offensive line can be good. We're still waiting on that. But it's like, all that other stuff kind of goes out the window when you can't trust your quarterback to make good decisions. And that's been the most troubling thing with Desmond Ridder. He's leading the league in turnover-worthy plays this season. He added at least 3 more today, if not 4 more today. And like he is on a Jameis Winston type of path right now through the first month of the season. And that is something that you can't do. This is, again, like, I got my gripes with Arthur Smith and his offense and all that stuff, but like if you can't trust the quarterback to just make basic stuff that you're talking about, like there's nothing you can do. There's just nothing you can just like, well, we're just going to hand the ball off to Bijan and just hope he just basically puts the team on his back and carries us and walks on water, because that's really all we can do offensively that we can do reliably, unless they can figure out what's going on with this. Like this was the like. This is why we had so much confidence at the end of last year, because it's like, okay, the first game, it was a rough game. He made a couple of rookie mistakes, and we're like, okay. And then he just played clean the rest of the next 3 games. And we just have not seen that outside of like 1 or 2 drives this season. And it's just incredibly frustrating. And it leads us to the question, Jarvis, is it time to start thinking about a quarterback change? Because it was ugly in the first half. And Arthur Smith tells the sideline reporter Laura Rutledge at halftime, like, we didn't even consider making a quarterback change. And look, I get it. I get it. Like, you got to figure out Desmond Ridder, and Taylor Heinicke is fine, but like that's not solving any problems. You're just basically like, when you turn to Taylor Heinicke, that's when you're like, oh,
it's lipstick on the pig,
kind of given up on the season. But I'm not saying they should be making a change, but like that clock is ticking, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And here's why I think that clock might get sped up if we continue to see him starting and your head coach being utterly defiant about at least considering. Because here's the thing, man. Here's the thing about Arthur Smith. He's always talked about accountability, right? That's been his thing. That's his moniker. And he talked about how he got those angry vets in the locker room. We saw one of those angry vets on the sidelines. Desmond Ridder out here trying to give Mac Hollins some doubt. He's like, no, man, you need to get your ish together. Like, of course I'm paraphrasing, I'm sure, but like that's what I'm concerned about, because if you get to a point where your doggone veterans will start looking at this dude sideways, dude, you're going to have to consider it. You're going to have to make a change too, because at the end of the day, they're going to start looking at you. They gonna look at Ridder anymore. If you sit up here saying, giving this dude the stamp of confidence, saying, "Hey, he ain't got nothing to worry about." No, dog. Like these dudes are human beings, and you see the way this doggone defense played. Them cats played a solid game today. You take away that pick 6. I know that's in the fantasy world, but because they weren't responsible for it. So you talking about 16 points, 16 points given up in an NFL game. Jacksonville Jaguars, that was the most boringest offensive game plan I've ever seen. I'm sitting up here literally falling asleep about watching Doug Peterson call plays, or press Taylor, whoever's calling the plays. They apparently they've been alternating all that stuff. Like, what are we talking about here, man? So I really feel like now you have to kind of go into this locker room and go into the situation saying, hey, Desmond Ridder, this stuff can't happen anymore. We can't have you making these type of mistakes. There are certain mistakes that's okay, as you continue to grow as an NFL quarterback. But I can't have you staring down doggone wide receivers, man, on stop routes when the corner, this defense coming in is going to be challenging these wide receivers, because, like, they know you can't throw the ball down the field. And if you even have an opportunity to throw the football down the field, it's not going to be accurate. So this is something that you're going to make yourself obvious, what you don't want to be. In that, from an identity standpoint. Yeah, it's cool watching, getting the rock in Bijan Robinson's hands and watch him turn some, we understand that. We know that. But if you're at the point where that's the only thing that you can do, that ain't gonna get you enough points to win games in the NFL, man. I'm telling you, because these cats they're gonna start keying on this cat more and more and more, and they're gonna dare you to throw the football. And if you're sitting up here saying that you looking at the way 9 is playing and all these veterans on this squad, and Jesse Bates and Calais Campbell talking about the reasons why they came down here, and y'all sitting up here ignoring them, like those guys gonna start looking at you. And they're going to come knocking on your door on Monday talking about some, hey, coach, I need to have a conversation. Like, I've talked to everybody on the defense side of football. Something got to change with this cat. Like, and they're going to keep it real funky because they're veterans and they ain't got time for that stuff, man. Y'all built this team like this. Y'all the ones said, hey, all we got to do is spend the money on defense, get all these weapons on the offensive side of the football, and go. Let's go to work. Like, and it's not working. It's not working, and you have to figure this junk out because at the end of the day, once these veterans start looking at 9 sideways, that's when it's going to be time. That's when it's going to be time. And if you don't do it, you're making yourself a coffin. Yeah. And I'll keep it at that.
Yep. I can't say it any better than that, Jarvis. So we got the gripes out.
Right.
Let's talk about this defense. Let's do it. Let's end on a positive note because Lord no, we ain't talking about this offense no more. Hey, Bijan, keep being Blue Magic. You keep doing you. That's about it. You talk about the defense. I think they gave it 3 good quarters of shutting down for the most part. They had that busted coverage on the Jaguars' first score. That was just a mental error from AJ Terrell. You saw one later in the game on a DPI where, good play by the Jaguars to kind of just throw it up there and hope that you could get AJ, being aggressive and that would. But you saw AJ shadowing Calvin Ridley, between those 2 plays, Calvin really didn't do nothing in this game. And
no.
I think a lot of that is owed to AJ Terrell. Evan Ingram gave them some struggles in the second half. Maybe some of that's owed to the injuries sort of taking a toll there. D. Alford had to exit the game to get checked for a concussion and all that stuff. But this defense, I thought, played really well. They shut down for the most part this Jaguars offense. You had a couple of plays where Trevor Lawrence was able to use his legs to get a couple of explosive plays. But, Travis Etienne, quiet, Christian Kirk was mostly quiet. So kudos to the defense of doing their job. We got a couple of sacks from, Grady Jarrett and David Onyemata and Bud Dupree. So a lot of positive to take away from this game from the defense. They have shown up consistently throughout the year. As you said, Jarvis, the team went out there, spent a lot of money, said we're going to rebuild this defense. And, that investment looks smart. So what do you got to say to add on to that?
I think the return on investment, you're starting to see it. And let's give Ryan Nielsen some credit too. Like, he's coming up with these game plans on a weekly basis. And we saw Jeff Okudah get to start today. Solid. I can't say too many bad things about the way he played today. And when you're starting to see like what their vision was for this season, you saw the guys, your defense coming around, like they decided to go the veteran route, you know what I mean, instead of trying to develop some players, and they're coming out in this particular draft this year, and you have to. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, and you see those guys like once they got that one score, and it coming out of in that drive and coming out of the first half. Like you saw those guys start to get amped up a little more. Okay, that's all we need, and then you just saying, okay. You start to believe, right? You start to believe in this defense, and hey, let's get a turnover. And you start to see them trying to take that next step. But when they, like, again, you're not playing from a team standpoint, all phases of the game, their offense come out there and they hold on to the ball for 4 or 5 minutes and go for it on 4th down, and they don't get it. And it's just like, that's what starts to affect them. But you have to give credit to the way this defense played today. And shout out to Nate Landman, man. Like, I didn't hear anybody complaining about missing Troy Anderson. No offense to him and everything like that. But Landman looked really solid, and he looks like the type of guy that Ryan Nielsen wants on his defense, coming downhill, making the tackle. He may have missed one tackle, but hey, he still came down and gave a lick and gave his teammates time to get there to kind of help him out. So, yeah, man, this defense has been playing. It's definitely been a for sure positive this year the way they've been playing because it was nothing in the run game. And, outside of the blown coverage and the PI, and Trevor Lawrence rushing for a few first downs here on third down. So that's water on the bridge. That's film study right there. Okay, hey guys, here's what teams are probably gonna start trying to do to us as we move along. So it's like the defense has just been stacking up good game after good game, man. Because we saw that Detroit Lions are probably better than what we thought they were, and for them to only give up 20 points against that team as well. Yeah, man. So you don't want to waste this because you went the veteran route, right? Like this is something that, hey, man, Nine got to get it together, and the offensive line too. Yeah, they have to get it. They have to continue to try to put some good games together, and I think that the schedule kind of works out in their favor. So, and let me ask you this, man. Given how the upcoming schedule is, do you think that Arthur Smith continues to be defiant about saying, hey, we're not considering, benching Desmond Ridder as we are, continue to roll up on these few games that, hey, we feel like we can get some wins?
Yeah, I mean, I went into the season not expecting a whole lot in September, right? It was really to me like, okay, whatever you do in September, can you improve upon that in October, right? Because I didn't go into the season expecting it to. So, if you told me 2-2 start, I'm like, yeah, fine. It's not that they started 2-2; it's how they've started 2-2 because the offense has been so inept outside of basically a couple of runs from Algier, a couple of runs from Bijan, and then pretty much nothing else other than like a sprinkling here or there. Yeah. So I think if you'd asked me this at halftime, I would have been like, this is ridiculous, but level cooler heads prevailed. In the second half, okay, calm down there, woosah,
I'm a lot more calm now. You know what I'm saying?
Had me up this morning.
Got my feelings out.
I'm just like, man, y'all, it's too early in the morning to be pissing me off.
Exactly. I got so much more time left in the day. I'm like, man, it's only doggone 12 o'clock. Like, what is going on?
But so I want to give Ridder another month. I want to see what he does in October. Right. But you gotta see some progress. Again, I don't expect Desmond Ridder to carry.
It can't look like September. It can't.
Yeah.
It can't.
Just manage the game. Just stop making stupid decisions. That's all you got to do. I don't need you to make every throw. I just need you to not make mistakes, right? I need you to go out there and channel your best Alex Smith and just not mess up. Let Arthur Smith be able to run the offense that he wants to do and just hey man, just go out there. If it's 3rd and 9, if you check it down to 7 yards and we punt, I'll take that, man. I just cannot have you staring down receivers over the middle of the field every time you throw it over the middle.
That safety didn't budge.
I'm just holding my breath because he don't see the linebackers, he don't see the safety, and it's just and then it's just I don't know. So I think you got to give him more time, but you got to see something, and just eliminating those horrible decisions is the starting point for that something. Yeah.
I think, and that something, starts with the Texans because I know that, looking at the Texans and saying, oh yeah, rookie quarterback, rookie head coach and all that stuff, D'Amico Ryans and all that stuff, trying to figure those things out. But CJ Stroud can slang it and he can move too. So I really, that's something has to start next week. It has to. It literally has to start next week.
Yeah, I agree, Jarvis. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here and I can go about doing something I actually enjoy this Sunday and watching a good football team maybe for once this afternoon? Anything else, Jarvis?
Don't have the Falcons play in London anymore because when they stink it up, which is more than likely to happen this year, offensively, it just ruins my day. I don't want to ruin my whole day. My day has been ruined. And I got to figure out how to
lost.
Make
I'm just mad they just stunk. That's what it
is.
It's
the way they played.
Yeah.
It's the way they played. I would have been okay with a loss. Like I said, 2-2, 500. Yeah. All right. But man.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Please, by all means, take our advice. Go watch good teams this afternoon and just wash this horrible poop of a football game out of your eye sockets. I took a shower at halftime. I'm going to take another shower after this game just to rinse this stink
It
off.
feels dirty.
This stinking
It
team.
feels dirty.
Man, so we will have you covered all week long. Locked on Falcons, Locked on Sports Atlanta. Hey guys, we got a football party on Monday.
Yes.
Talking about this game with Tori McElhaney and Tanitra Batiste. So go check it out if you're feeling frisky and feel like hearing me and Jarvis complain for another 15 plus minutes. But you get Tori and Tanitra complaining as well. So
yes. Yeah.
we'll see what's what on that. Continue to stay tuned here on Locked on Sports Atlanta, of course, Locked on Falcons, and check out Jarvis Davis on Twitter at JarvisD90 and whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, we can't talk about that because we don't have enough time. We'll see y'all next week.